Mr. President, we have heard testimonies from various small island developing states on the devastating impact of climate change on their countries and population, which present an existential threat to their subsistence. We have seen an increase in frequency and intensity of climate-related disasters such as floods, coastal erosion, and landslides in many other countries across the globe. These extreme weather events have affected economic activities, livelihood, and safety of the people. If left unchecked, I'm afraid climate change could, in fact, constitute the greatest threat multiplier for global security. Realizing the increasing urgent need to address the impact of climate change, we came together in Paris last December and took the historic step of adopting the Paris Agreement. We must now follow through and carry out the commitment therein. Malaysia is committed to reducing its greenhouse gas emission intensity of GDP by up to 45% by year 2030. In this regard, Malaysia is currently undertaking domestic processes toward ratification of the Paris Agreement. Mr. President, an enabling international environment of peace and security is also important for the successful implementation of the SDGs. Yet, we are witnessing various conflicts in several parts of the world. The rise in the phenomenon of non-state actors such as Daesh, Boko Haram, and Al-Shabaab has caused instability and insecurity of nations. The international community continues to witness horrific acts of cruelty by these non-state actors. They employ terror tactics and extremism as their approach and method in spreading their influence and reach. Nevertheless, the fight against terrorism cannot be won through force or punitive measures alone. Hence, Malaysia has incorporated de-radicalization and rehabilitation programs toward changing the mindset of radicalized extremist individuals. This program has complemented by various forms of humanitarian assistance to facilitate their reintegration into society. Such measures are important to avoid relapse. The success rate of our de-radicalization program thus far is around 97.5%. Malaysia has come out with de-radicalization module, and we stand ready to share our experience with other nations. We have prepared this SOP and to be shared with the whole nation in the globe. No nation, Mr. President, is immune to the threat of international terrorism. Hence, there is an urgent need to counter terrorism comprehensively. We need to counter it from the ideological perspective by countering the narratives and addressing the root cause of issues that could be manipulated by or to attract people into supporting this group. We need to explore new solutions and continuously work to enhance our domestic legal framework in fight against violent extremism. This continuous effort should involve a diverse cross-section of our population. We should enhance our interaction by winning the heart and minds of religious leaders and women, as well as our youth. We should build networks at all levels of society where they can help by providing counter-narratives and counter-messaging through community-based effort, the arts and media, sports and culture. Mr. President, until today, we are still grappling to determine as well as identify the root causes of terrorism. Many quarters speculate that the root causes of terrorism could be poverty, deprivations, alienation, suppression, and other myriad of factors. Malaysia, therefore, joins others in calling for robust and effective international action in our collective fight against terrorism. Such effort must be based on and in full respect to the UN Charter and universally recognized principle of law, including international humanitarian law and international human rights law. Only if and when the international community stand united can the terrorists be defeated. Mr. President, 7 decades after United Nations inception, the question of Palestine remains unresolved. The protracted crisis highlights the built-in flaws in the working of the UN, where the use of the vetoes continues to perpetuate the longest occupation in modern history. Over the years, the situation on the ground in occupied Palestinian territory is slowly but surely moving away from a two-state solution. The blockage on Gaza by the occupying power, the unrelenting expansion of illegal Israeli settlement, the continued construction of illegal walls, the forced transfer of Palestinians from their homes and gross violation of human rights of Palestinians continued unabated despite mounting international pressure and criticism. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity to highlight the lingering problem pertaining to resettlement of existing refugee population in host countries to third countries. The lengthy delays in the resettlement of refugees would inevitably result in economic, social, political, and security hardship to the host country. We therefore urge the UNHCR, IOM, and state parties to the 1951 Refugee Convention and its related protocol to give serious attention and to promptly act on this matter. While we are cognizant of the element as contained in the New York Declaration on Refugees and Migrants, such initiatives should not unduly place non-signatory states to the relevant international instrument in a position inconsistent with the provision of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. Malaysia's rapid and robust development and economic growth had attracted people within the region, either through legal or illegal means. They are influenced by the needs of search for better living conditions and greater employment opportunities. These are the main drivers for migration within the Southeast Asia region. Malaysia recognizes the contributions of the foreign workforce to the country's economic prosperity. Hence, it is equally important to look into their safety and welfare. As such, the government of Malaysia gives serious attention to cases involving labor exploitation, including forced labor. Hence, the definition of trafficking in person under the Malaysian Anti-Trafficking in Person and Anti-Smuggling Migrant Law 2007 has been widened to include labor exploitations. This is in line with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which requires immediate and stern measures to eradicate forced labor and modern slavery and human trafficking. Malaysia works in concert with the international community to tackle and eliminate this heinous crime, which has caused great injustice as well as untold suffering. Mr. President, Malaysia joins the other member states in expressing our profound gratitude to His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the United Nations Secretary General, for his able leadership in steering the world body since 2007. In conclusion, it is our fervent hope that the incoming Secretary General is selected based on his or her strong leadership traits, transformative vision of the United Nations, in particular, the reform of the Security Council, and ability to address present and emerging challenges that threaten international peace, security, development, and human rights. Mr. President, I thank you.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs of Malaysia for his statement.